Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this fine world, and welcome to an amazing race we have here in Highways to the Threemus Zone here on the Random Running Network. I am Infinis. I am joined by Antidale, who's going to give some amazing insight. How are you, Antidale?
I'm doing very well, and hopefully I can live up to that. This is going to be a really interesting race. We have Zilch, who is currently 2-0 in the Bahama group, and looking to punch his ticket to go directly to the table against ZoeVermilion, who is looking to go 2-1 and play spoiler to Zilch's plans. Going to be really interesting to see whether we have two magma ticket rides punched, or whether Zilch goes to the table and Zoe has to take the long route through the hook.
Yes, it's
Infinius.
going to be. Go
Yeah, go
on.
ahead.
I was going to say it's going to be very interesting. Didn't occur to me that if Zoe loses this would make me that she would go to Hook. But looking looking at these but yeah, either way, I think people are going to be excited for this.
Yeah, looks like we have a nice Rosa start, and then those objectives are kind of interesting. Completing the sealed cave is something that I know a lot of runners kind of don't like seeing because with the warp glitch turned on in this flag set, we get to mostly ignore sealed cave, but it's possibly one of the four things they have. Defeating the boss of the waterfall is pretty straightforward once you get a couple of levels under your belt. And then training with a pigtail, depending on what our underground route is, that might require some extra ways underground too. What are you thinking? How are your feelings about these objectives?
I mean, I'm happy to see. I'm happy enough to see Waterfall because I know that's relatively free. However, seeing Pinktail does lead me to pause because that requires two key items, just like the normal forgery we always have. So we're either way, we're going to be looking for a whole bunch of key items.
Yeah, do you think that you're a little more tempted to keep a Cecil if you only find one with that Pinktail objective, knowing that it gives you a decent shot at a Crystal Sword, or do you still kind of play your normal Cecil game?
Uh, I think given that if one of my options is either Legend Sword and to get an Excalibur or get a Pink Tail, I think that would incentivize me to go keep a Cecil. It just being given that Pink Tail is a guaranteed tier 7 item. I think I'd play the odds and say, yep, give me.
Yeah, I think I would be more tempted with this particular objective set to keep even a single Cecil, and it looks like our runners are off.
All right, so with Rosa, we also have our favorite punch mage Yang, so all mage party, and we have that's one part of what we're looking for, a hook.
Yeah, runners probably pretty glad to see that. Definitely glad to see the Rosa. Maybe a little less glad to see an initial Yang. He doesn't do a whole lot for you to start with. You need some levels or some significant strength boosting gear to really kind of help you through the overworld. But this is T Wildish, so we have seen Zeus gauntlets and power shirts pretty available sometimes. So it'll be really interesting to see what they pull out and where these runners go for their free characters too.
And it'll be also interesting to see if we can also find an easy Thunderclaw, because that'll also make some bosses relatively easy and straightforward.
Yeah, definitely. And early Odin with the Thunderclaw is a beautiful thing to see. And we've got some initial divergence already. We find Cure 3s at the Baron item shop, which is really nice to know where they are.
That's true. Whereas Zilch is going through Mysidia and getting those character checks and also the shop check.
And
Uh,
there's a DKC and a eventual Paladin just having tea again with each other. That's kind of fun. And we also did see a curse ring out of the pot outside of the Baron Inn. So that's really interesting too. Really nice to have so early for Zoe.
Yes, meanwhile in Mysidia we also find a dwarf axe, which will also help making back row said Cecils, future Cecils a lot easier.
And then we have a martial arts conclave at Mysidia where we get another Yang and an Edge. I'm sure Zilch is thrilled to see that Edge.
Ooh, yeah. You'd love to see that edge there. Edge will help probably boost through that waterfall check really quickly, and it wouldn't surprise me if they go straight there afterwards.
You can also think about going straight to Baron Inn, although with a Cecil there, I might be tempted to hold on for it just a little bit. And I know in practice and in just talking to Zilch some about how he likes to run some seeds. He tends to do a little bit of looting more than other people early to kind of set himself up, and then I think I've heard him say that sometimes he doesn't complete his first boss fight until about 10 minutes into a seed. So definitely interesting to see the possible contrasting styles of play.
Well, your call of him looting sounds pretty correct because he's already in Castle Eblin and's found a Sylph summon, and also found a trap chest, so he's got to reset.
And we'll see if he goes to pick up that summon again too. Those are worth a pretty penny, and if you find a Rydia, they're kind of useful too. But also, if you don't have Rydia, maybe you don't need to waste the time to go pick it up.
That's true. No, Sylph is a very expensive summon, so knowing that it's there just allows you to save that much cash for other things like sirens and that kind of thing.
Got a Porm and a Mambam on top of Hobbs. They're probably going to stay staring at each other for the rest of the seed. We already have Rosa, who has a higher HP curve and gets most of the late spells and the important spells other than Exit and Berserk much earlier than that Porm does. And just the HP curve is so nice for Rosa. It makes her a much better white mage to the end. And that Ninja Hat's pretty interesting too for Zoe. Gives the wearer some extra agility, which can be really nice.
Yeah, one thing I would say about doing that Mambam fight is because of the mechanic where Mambam will have extra hit points, it's also going to be a lot longer fight than it would normally do anyway.
And I
right,
know
meanwhile, we have Zoe.
Go ahead.
Yeah, meanwhile we have Zoe going through Antline. Looks like doing that check, doing that boss check first.
Yeah, and I've seen Zilch reset now 3 times, so he might have found all the encounters here in Castle Eblin.
Unless his memory is a bit off, but no, even still, that's probably worth just getting. Now you know where everything is. Finding a white shirt, that's gonna be very great for Rosa.
Yeah, I'm not sure, just like Woobear in chat, whether he had found one trap chest twice or if just both in the left side of that top tower were in that right-hand tower were trapped.
Well, in the meantime, we have Zoe, in that line fighting a free fight with the Kuiper guards. Should be pretty straightforward. One flame should be able to take out the soldiers, and the officer will either run away or get hit.
Yeah, and you're not too sad to see the soldier escape in this particular one, just because there's not enough XP to really worry about for the long game. So it's not like it's much later in the seed where you'd be interested in keeping it. And there's a darkness crystal. That's our path to Threemus.
Oh, that's interesting. That also, we haven't seen a Tilly yet, have we?
We've not. So we with the Youngs and the Edge, and maybe if we find those Cylinder Claws you mentioned earlier, that could open up a Mac Giant grind if the runners are bold. But this is also still on the group flag, so Sirens are pretty readily available, and we do have an Edge to steal them. So Mac Giants might not be the correct play, and sometimes even D Machines with Atella just requires a lot of setup time, where maybe it's not worth it.
That's true. That's true. Like, unless we get I don't know, an easy way to, like, maybe a Soma drop to help with the MP. Maybe I guess the Sylph Summon and the Rydia would also help with keep making sure uptime for doing D Machine grind is always up. It's pretty good. But yeah, I tend to agree. Like, just doing science just makes most sense.
Yeah, the runners converging here at the Damsian basement. Probably the best thing I saw out of there was the Rune Ring. The Vampire is going to be real nice for early game.
Oh yes, no, just being able to use that item just to help do some early damage to some bosses, that's going to be very good.
And a tracker pointing out that with 2 Yangs, if we do get an early Tella, Yang really loves a slingshot, so he can suddenly become very powerful, very, very fast through that.
That's true, but I would feel like keeping Yang on the ground for that long might be a bit challenging.
Yeah, very well could, but you know, I kind of love this party of 2 Yang, 2 Rosa, and an Edge. Like, that's real nice.
That's true, and you pretty much know that you're not going to need warp because you have to go through a sealed cave anyway. So
And Zoe
meanwhile,
fighting Dark Elf here.
in I mean, it is a fast boss, but it should still be relatively straightforward for Zoe to be able to handle this. The week is kind of rude though. But having said that, the first week hit that Yang, so maybe you can just keep him down.
Yeah, does not like top Yang here with getting both the weak and the piggy off on him. But that vampire item, like I said earlier, doing some work, triggering the meat change really soon into this fight.
Yep, no, just now that should be a couple of swings of edge, and that should be all done and dusted, really. I find it interesting that we have both Zilch and Zoe doing the exact same thing, but we've managed to get there in slightly different ways.
Yeah, to me that's one of the neat things about the particular flex that we have. There's just a lot of flexibility in what is possible that you just really love to see it.
Yep, and Zoe is through. She will complete her first objective and has two more to go. Actually, one thing that just occurred to me I find really interesting is that no one's actually had a peek at the watery pass, right?
That's
I find
correct.
I find it interesting that no one, because usually I find with a whole bunch of races I've seen that going through doing those watery pass checks has been very popular. So it's interesting to see that, but neither Zilch nor Zoe have done that.
Yeah, you could definitely feel that with the early Edge that you don't really need to. Like Edge and Rosa, and I'm pretty set through the entire overworld. I'd be tempted to just not pick anybody else up for a while. But since they went to Damsian also, because they were very likely to have to do a hook route since we started with it, I can totally see them picking up the character there too while they're at it.
That's true. Meanwhile, Zilch has proven me wrong and immediately looked at Watery Pass and has found a Cecil there. So not going to pick him up at this point.
Nope, definitely just looking to bank that Cecil, and we know there's another one at Baron Inn too, so we do have both first cycle Cecil and second Cecil. So agility anchoring woes with a Cecil, as long as you manage the second one well, are all taken care of.
That's
and there's
true.
your old
and
man taking a nap in bed.
Yeah, just requires having to find a sand ruby, which might be a bit tricky.
Yeah, but at least the runners know he's in the seed. That's one advantage to just checking there. Since we do have C maybe on, not everyone's going to show up. And we do know that we can at least get Tillas in this particular run.
That's true. That's true. Meanwhile, it looks like we found cabins and starvales in Kaipo, so that check has also paid off in there as well.
Yeah, definitely want to buy a couple of those starvales in case you're forced to use them early and then maybe find a late wyvern. I wouldn't know anything about that. But you definitely love to see the starvales, and a couple of cabins for some late game full heal stuff is really nice to see. Meanwhile, Zoe is through the full defense where Dr. Lego's attacking and gets a pan.
Well, you don't mind seeing that here because it means you're going to guarantee double tipping for ball no matter what you did. So at least you kind of avoided the dreaded triple dip.
Absolutely, and it lets you prioritize the pan checks once you get underground too, because you don't have to wait any time. You can just go ahead and go visit Yang, give him a nice tap on the noggin, and then go ahead and visit Sheila.
No. We're not tapping Yang. We're using the pan as a gong.
Fair. Also, Zilch picking up that Elven Bow out of Antline Cave. I don't know if we saw Zoe pick that up herself.
I didn't notice, I must admit.
But Zoe picks up Artemis arrows.
Very good check of that checker for us chest there. Not very much out of the way, so good chance of getting good loot there. And yeah, Arm's Arrows will probably pay off as when Zoe decides to get an archer going.
Yeah, and with that Rosa, we have a Quack Kid here up on Ordeals. Our runners don't have any access to Warp yet, so yeah, it looks like Zoe is taking Palom there, and hopefully we'll get him up to the point where you would have Warp before going to Dwarf Castle.
I do find it interesting that Zoe chose to ditch the second Rosa in this point. What are your thoughts on that?
I would imagine that Zoe is hoping to find Bacchus one, and wants to keep a pretty melee-heavy party composition. And here, first boss is a Lunar Sparkle up on Modern Ordeals.
Oh, that's fine. That's D Lunars. You have an ninja to do flame. You also happen to have 2 Yangs, which you can use the punch power command to not trigger the counter.
Yep,
or you can use Cure 2s.
Exactly. It looks like just Zoe's just going to use the Cure 2s. Could also take advantage of those Artemis arrows that Zoe picked up, and have Rosa shoot some pretty good damage at him.
Yeah, there's an option, but I think this might end up being a fair bit quicker anyway. Yeah, because the fact that she's through already, so.
Yep, and doesn't have to use up any of that precious star of Artemis arrows, where Q2s are far more easy to replenish.
Yeah, all costs is a bit of money in a day. Okay, she does have the Elven Bow.
Yeah, but does equip it on Palom, because that does give +5 to the Black Magic stat, so that it is a good boost for Palom, essentially making those Medusa arrows into a stat stick.
Well, we have a Leviathan in the back attack spot. That's interesting. Maybe the magic here is pretty bad though, so this is all you have to care about is the waves.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be doing a little bit of inventory dumping just to get this over real fast. That's a good 1,400 points from a Slumber Sword.
Ooh, that helps a lot.
Oh yeah, and that magic's no joke. 600 is going to take out anyone except that that ninja in the middle. And a quick Star Veil just to make sure that indeed Edge will manage through this fight. It's a really good idea.
Yep, I like that as well. You know, you just saw that. No, Euros just took a really rude one. Can't have to. No, you're pretty much expecting your monks to not survive, and you know that your ninja is the key character here. And she's free.
Yep, not too much danger from that particular noodle here in the back attack spot with this party. Edge is just a little bit too fast. And also with Pal having the lit 2, that definitely helped a bunch.
That's also true, you know, getting that XP from the first relatively free fight helps get those level 2 elemental spells really quickly.
Yeah, and Zilch is through that Dr. Ligay fight as well very quickly, and it will be getting his pan shortly.
So meanwhile, no, Zoe is about to has entered the tomb. We'll be interested to see what she picks up. And we have a Sand Ruby, so if we want to, we could pick up the Teller.
Yeah, that is really, really interesting. Whether or not you ditch one of these characters that you have for Telos, so you'll already have Warp, also gives you a good agility anchor late in the game if you manage his levels appropriately. That is a really, really interesting pickup. Also, it leaves us one check left, unless we find a cheeky D-Mist for a possible Magma Key underground instead of doing the hook route.
Actually, one thing that might be an interesting option now that we've gone through Ordeals, and we know we have if Zilch does Ordeals and gets that Sand Ruby, would you pick up that Teller to a D machine? You have 2 Yangs. You have you know you can you can do a D machine grind, although the setup might be a bit rough. We have Curse Rings in Silvera for sale, so looks like Zilch is going to sell a farm to try and pick those up, not knowing there's a free one in Baron.
Yeah, but definitely it's good peace of mind to know that you have that cursed ring, and in case you accidentally equip it on someone and throw them away, very nice to have the have a backup. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure whether or not I demachine immediately. I might go look and see who the boss is at the Rubicante spot before I would decide, or what characters I could pick up there too to see whether or not I could slingshot somebody. But definitely, it's on the table. It's a very interesting option.
Yeah, it's no. I guess that's the interesting thing about these objective flag sets, and knowing you only have to do 3 out of 4. Um, the, the fact that you could just you can get the fact that both options could be the correct decisions, just which one's quicker.
Yeah, and if you do that D machine, you're probably tempted to go ahead and just go straight to the moon and see if those checks there get you any advantage over your opponent, since you'd be able to then just go straight for them.
Yeah, this is all very interesting to think about. I think just the fact that you have so many options available to you. Meanwhile, we still have shopping. We have continuing shopping percent for Zoe. Just finding a silk web and some Q2s, which are all very nice. Whereas Zilch is just starting the climb through metal deals.
Yeah, and so he does have a Soma drop there in the inventory as well, and does find some life potions here. So it looks to be selling a bunch of stuff in order to pick up a good stack of life potions.
Actually, one interesting thing to point out is that Zilch, whereas when Zoe found upon, it was a Rose that got ditched, whereas Zilch ditched the Yang.
Yeah, Zilch could be thinking more reflex shots, or just more thinking that one edge and one yang gives you enough claw potential that you don't need two yangs. I would generally agree with that particular line of thought. Zoe also showing us that there is a chocobo forest here, and it's going to duck in here and pick up hopefully a neat item. But there's just nothing.
I didn't know that about that chocobo forest. I must admit.
It's
At
not
least
one
I
I
learned
knew
something.
about. Yeah, it's not one I knew about until you had to do Dark Materons, and then I learned where they all were.
Oh yeah, okay. Zoe is making her way into to check to Kaipo, and we'll find out that there's a teller available. It'll be interesting to see what
Yeah, it looks like he's going to pick up that Tella. There was a brief just turn around and then a second thought, and does rescue Tella from his long nap.
Now the big question is who does Alright, so he's dumping the Yang.
Yeah, that was a real quick decision. Looks like Zoe is going for a nice balanced party.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. I think having a balanced party is just perfect for this. And I guess picking up a teller now means that she knows her anchoring situation is going to be amazing, and doesn't have to pick up a Cecil at all.
Yeah, with this party, you really don't need a whole lot of equipment. It's nice to get some stat boosting gear for Palom and Rosa, and maybe one other sword for Edge. I think we've seen a long sword somewhere, so one other good sword for Edge would be really nice to see. Zoe also could have picked up that Tela just to get access to exit and do some of the back of the water pass here, and maybe go further in.
That's also an interesting idea.
Because you know that if you can, gear, there's that charm rod.
Ooh, that's going to go great on that Palom. And a black shirt as well. That's more good stuff for Palom. Ooh, and a crystal ring. That's a very nice pickup.
Yeah, that's a really good bit of the watery pass here.
Yeah, more importantly, you also got the bonking stick, so that's also live.
Yeah, a little bit of berserk in a can. Not always super effective, but as long as you're managing your ATB well, you should be able to get it to proc off very nicely.
It's interesting that Zoe is basically doing World 2 pass in backwards instead of going from the back as well as the front. But it makes sense if since you don't really want to take that Cecil at the moment.
Yeah, it gives you access to all the loot that is here. Doesn't see that Cecil and picks him up though. Oh no, just stands right in front of him and then says goodbye.
What
I
a
wonder if they took a
tease!
selfie together.
What a tease!
Well, there's a white shirt also for Zoe, so each of our runners has a
Oh,
white shirt for their single Rosa. Zilch maybe
yeah.
has two though.
Oh no, because Zilch wouldn't have seen the Zilch would not have gone to the back because there was the Cecil's in the way, so he backed
Yeah,
out.
it was more that making sure that Zilch still had two Rosas and
Oh yeah,
not
sorry,
just
sorry,
one.
yeah. Sorry, I misunderstood.
With Edge being so fast, we don't have to worry about getting any speechifying from Dark Knight Cecil here. There's no pain. There is just gain. And here is another Lunar Sparkle. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
But because this is such a slow spot and Edge is so very speedy, there's really
Yeah.
not too much worry.
Yeah, that would be a very much a uh-oh moment if you didn't get that off. Meanwhile, Zoe's checking Miss Cave, just for Demus and finds Kainazzo. So you're happy to not see him anywhere later on in the game.
Yeah, definitely nice to leave the turtle right there. One thing with this spot, there's not a whole lot of magic attack there, only reflecting back 1000 on the Wyvern. But Edge, so speedy, has been doing so much damage throughout, able to get through very nicely, and no worry about an experience because there's none granted there. And there's our pass. So unless we have Demist up at Zot holding a Magma Key, these runners have a hook route.
Oh, the old classic Demus and Mega Sisters. I think I just go hook route, even if I knew. If you told me that there was a Demus set, I just go hook route anyway.
And Zilch does pick up Cecil and ditches Yang.
Yeah, makes sense. You know that Young is very much weak early game. At least Cecil has the potential to be amazing. So while we basically have our runners basically checking things that the others have already checked, I just want to give a shout to the rest of our restream team. We have Dia handling the tracking and Alicel handling restreaming. Shouts to them for helping us, look good or sound smart. Well, make you sound smart anyway, not necessarily me.
Oh, I think we both sound just about as smart as each other.
No, I don't. I wouldn't want to put you on my level. Come on.
Zoe looks like she is willing to spend at least one more Star Veil to keep some people up and just make that fight a little bit easier. Gets through, gets the pass, and we'll see if Zoe takes that Cecil. Dia letting us know that Rosa just dodged, and indeed, both runners say goodbye to a monk to keep a paladin. And as the DR tracker notes that there are Ether 2s in Agrid, if we do want a D machine grind, it is all there on the table.
Interesting. Oh, looks like Zilch is going for it.
Yeah, with a hook,
Okay, I love this
just giving those extra levels is such a big deal, and you may be giving up a little bit of time just doing the D machine, but you earn probably a couple minutes back just in getting through this fight sooner.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like the fact we have divergence here. All very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be really fascinating to see if Zoe goes straight through the hook route after doing this looting.
Actually, I think it'll be interesting to see whether she even whether she chooses to take the fights that Zilch skipped out on. That's yeah. Like, I think you'd probably be okay to actually do those fights.
Yeah, you could take them and really hope for some really good gear for that Cecil that you just picked up. The loot here in the trap chest did get a bump in 4.1, so where I really felt that it wasn't worth it at all in the 4.0 version. Here, it's a little bit more worth it. The ability to get tier 7 stuff is definitely on the table, and so you might be a little bit more interested in doing this stuff.
The tracker making a good point. Zilch hasn't picked up Tiller yet. So, the machine not necessarily on the table just yet.
Oh, and does reset out of that bar down the moon. Is not interested. Will possibly and knows he doesn't necessarily have to come back and redo that cutscene since the pass is in hand already.
Although you're going to be quite sad if you have to do that cutscene again if key items are hidden behind in say ribbon room, massive immune altar, those kind of spots.
Yeah, and Staleman doing Zoe a favor and knocking Cecil down before Palom even has to cast Ice 2 on him. And the Staleman's down. Let's see what Zoe gets out of this. And that went by so fast, I entirely missed it.
It was a glass hat.
Well, that's going to be really good for cover Cecil.
Although it looks like not being picked up at the moment. Maybe Zoe wants to keep Cecil down just in case we actually don't find anyone worth taking.
Yeah, entirely possible. And Zilch going for that Tella, dropping a Rosa. And it looks to be... wait, that was... I think he realized he did not take the gear and does a quick reset. That hurts a little bit.
Yeah, it does. Like, it does. That's a fair chunk of time lost for an unforced error. Anyway, meanwhile, the second trap chest that has a Artemis bow, so that's also good for if we want to do want to zerk anyone.
Yeah, that Rosa could have Artie, and even just Artie Charm is real nice stuff.
Or Artie. That would also be.
Yeah, it's definitely on the table. I don't think Zoe has equipped those Artemis arrows. Probably looks to be saving them for some ruder stuff.
I think the Artie arrows are on the Palom.
Oh, okay.
Meanwhile, we have a Mad Ogre fight here, and this should be very quick, especially considering we have a mute knife.
Yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about the racial weaknesses that Free Enterprise has?
Sure. So there's a whole bunch of things that weapons, especially things that weapons can do. So the mute knight is very strong against mages, and for some reason these Mad Ogres are actually mages. So if you hit a racial weakness, you do 4 times the damage you normally do. But also that's a mass immune. That's a very good pickup for our edge here.
Yeah, Zoe's probably going to be feeling pretty good about this, getting 2 really solid weapons out of these checks, and the glass hat, if it was kept, can be put on Cecil to make him cover really well, or at least maybe take a couple of shots in the fight in the hook route, especially in that King Queen Evelyn spot where you're not worried about having to keep him down for agility purposes because you won't get any experience out of it.
That's true. That's true. We should see, but now we get to look forward to seeing who's actually blocking our way underground. Meanwhile, we pick up another ninja hat in Castle Evelyn. Meanwhile, it looks like Zilch is setting up for the manipulation. Did you want to explain that one?
Oh, sure. So normally, in older versions of Enterprise or in other flag sets, when we didn't have the can't run flag turned on, you would just go into the giant itself and then reset and do some step counting and figure out when your first encounter was and then where the D machine fight would be. But with us turning on can't run in encounters, that's a little bit trickier to do and a little bit more fraught with peril to go into the giant and just take a couple of random encounters and have to fight through them, or since you can't just run away from them. And so instead, community member Simbu had done some research into the inner workings of the game and had pulled out some charts, or pulled out some information about when certain encounters would go. And then Twisted Flax took that information and made some nice, easy-to-use charts for us that are based off of taking encounters in Baron. So if Zilch has done this properly, Zilch knows that the next fight, when he gets to the correct level, he'll turn encounters back on and then get a D machine from whenever the next encounter is.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we had ZoeVermilion looting castle, looting and shopping at Cave Evelyn, fighting Hourglass and Barkus Wines. So that's going to be very helpful for our Zerka party.
Yeah, and it looks like Dia, our tracker, did say that one of those white shirts was sold for hourglasses. And since Zoe only has one Rosa, that's entirely reasonable. I don't mind that play at all.
Honestly, it makes sense. It's not like you're going to put the white shirt on a teller who's not going to survive a big bang unless it's a really low roll or it's nerfed.
Well, that's a free fight.
Oh, that is a free fight. And we know that's a Baron guard since we've already fought the Kaipo guards in Antlion. So this is also probably a good time to know if we have coffins, because if you have coffins, you do get to life glitch them pretty easily.
Yeah, coffins are absolutely super free, but with Edge and a Mute Knife and a Masamune, those are also really free. Also, Zoe says goodbye to Tella.
No, makes interesting choice there.
Yeah, but knowing that you get the absolute freeness sitting there at the Rubicon spot, and that's a lot of XP that you can now life glitch and get one or both of these Pelhams up to a nice experience level.
Ooh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Zoe realized that Rose was going to one shot the that Mad Ogre. But I think with because speaking of racial weaknesses, there's Mad Ogres are giants, and charm arrows are very good against giants.
Yeah, so Zoe might be missing out a little bit of XP, but with this particular party, I don't think I'm too worried about it.
Yeah, looks like we have the makings of a very good reflect party now. With two Paladins, a Rosa, and an Edge, and a Cecil that's just gonna snap for the rest of the seed, I guess.
Yeah, and meanwhile, while Zilch is starting on this Steam Machine fight, is able to get off a double life glitch using the delay between entering the command to cast one of those level 2 spells and the time it takes for it to actually fire off. So is able to get a total of 3 kill counts for just killing one dragon.
Yeah, that's in fact very efficient. Oh, yes, I just want to circle back on a point that you made before, why the Mute Knife is going to be good against the Baron guards. something that may not be obvious to everyone, but those Baron guards are mages. So they'll have so the mute knife will actually trigger that racial weakness of the mute knife. So this edge is can go to town very quickly.
Yeah, and with those hourglasses, they're not at all a threat to the party. And also with Palom with Toad, can also make them very tiny and take a whole heck of a lot of damage.
So I think the other interesting thing is to know what is zilch's target for doing this theme machine. Is it just to get into nuke and white on our mages?
I feel like that's a really good target, but that would slingshot that Cecil into the stratosphere, which would be kind of amazing because you're not getting, definitely not getting a slingshot upgrade on your XP for that Rosa, and I don't think you are that Palom, although Palom might be. I'm not sure if there's quite the difference between Palom and Rosa in terms of levels based on their HP, but that Cecil would be just amazing if you can find anything at all resembling a weapon for him.
Yeah, that's indeed. So in the this is gonna be rude. That's an antline in the Queen Evan spot. So there's gonna be a lot of throwing of things, I imagine, just to try and not trigger that counter.
Yeah, and I would absolutely be pulling Cecil back up from his nap if I have to redo this fight and give him that glass helm. But a little bit of favorable targeting, and Antline is down with both a couple of darts and a quake.
Nice. That's yes, Pancras. We've already seen Wyvern. So Wyvern was at the second spot on Baron Inn.
Yeah, and not only have we seen Wyvern there, both runners have a level 1 Cecil just cached waiting for them if they ever want to go back at the Watery Pass. And that was a really well done fight from Zoe. That could have gone horribly wrong and taken a few different retries, but that worked out wonderfully.
Yep. Look. Yeah, and with that hourglass, yeah, Zoe is going to be through this fight. Interesting to see that there's no attempt to pick up the second Palom.
Yeah, it could just be not worrying about it, and just assuming that you'll get enough experience from this fight on the 1 Palom, plus the 2 that you'll fight through in Dwarf Castle. You'd have to be a little bit sad to miss out on one of those life glitches, though, because that would have been an extra 12-5 out of this.
Yeah, agreed. I think I probably would have picked up that Palom. I think the XP is really worth it because if it turns out that you're one fight short of getting that nuke and you have to do another one, that is not worth the time you save for not lifing up that Palom.
Yeah, I would have been tempted to just cast Berserk on the edge, get one of the Paloms up, and just wait for one of the 2 guards to die. But that was also a very fast way to do it. Getting 6,000 or so per round out of that Palom from Quakes was really nice and did speed it up a good bit.
That's true. I think I must admit I probably have gone with your strategy as well of just berserking my edge.
Yeah, I would have been doing that just as an eye to Dwarf Castle to try and see if I could get a slingshot on that lower level Palom still, or if not, then just have a total of 37,000 experience out of that fight. Would have been really nice to get. Yeah, and here's that immediate play to turn in the pan, getting just key item check after key item check right now as a little bit of early advantage on Zilch. Definitely hoping to maybe pick up a Pinktail and or some Adamant or the Legend Sword.
Or even the Luca key, because that'll also see us Ooh, alright. Looks like we have Zilch has finished his grind, and looks like Cecil is going to He's gonna get slingshot into the stratosphere.
Yeah, I saw 28 on Rosa. I missed what was on Cecil, but I'm sure it was a bunch since we got Rosa all the way life 2. Looks like 30 something on Palom.
Yeah, 31 Palams. That definitely has Quake. Ooh, that was adamant in from the Sylph summon. So we are all that bit closer to go mode.
Yeah, of course.
Level
Zilch is
56.
Yeah, level 56 is real nice. Zilch, though, is also pretty much done grinding. We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised to see if he goes to pick up a Cecil at some point. Although that Cecil's going to be real fast at level 56 and just outspeed everything on the hook route. Assuming he decides to go down there rather than go to the moon.
Yeah, the one interesting thing I do think about this is that we don't have anything for this Cecil at the moment.
No, for neither one, and we haven't picked up anything really good for him. I mean, he can absolutely make use of the arms, bow, and arrow set that we do have, but we're still shy of actual great holy swords.
Well, yeah, I don't think. Oh, does Zilch actually have an arms bow? Because the arms bow was from him.
No, it's just for what's available in the seed so far. But here we do indeed see Zilch go straight to pick up another Cecil, while Sheila 1 gives us a magma key and a nice bandana.
It's good to know that. Well, just further confirmation that this was a required hook C. If as a way underground, as opposed to getting a magma key.
Yeah, that does mean the longer Zilch takes to go down and to just go down that hook route, and maybe because you can be very tempted to go ahead and go to the moon after your Demon Machine grind, but looks like Zilch is picking up the hovercraft and probably going to go do the hook route.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be interesting to see if he wanted to gamble even harder on magma key being in on the moon, but we know that's not the correct choice here.
Yeah, and we see Zoe going to pick up some more trap chests. Looks like he's going to be stealing some sirens. I don't know if we spend a lot of time looking for sirens in all the shops. This is a pretty quick underground check, and then a nearly immediate check for sirens. But at the level the Edge is at, he is going to steal them pretty well.
Yeah, no. Also, it looks like casting stuff just to make sure that that when we do choose to kill off the alert, it's hopefully won't trigger the counter.
Yeah, although that stop doesn't last too long, I'd imagine just in a couple more rounds we'll see the alert picking back up. You kind of want to use that stop just before you're going to start attacking with Edge if you don't have a Thunderclaw or aren't sure that you can take out the alert right away.
Mind you, I would think that I would also consider having Edge. I think Edge should be able to one shot anyway. Oh no, it's short. Okay.
Yeah, without a Thunderclaw, Edge doesn't, even with just the Musamane. But hey, there's an Excalibur. Hi, Cecil.
Well, that does change the dynamic of things a little bit, doesn't it?
It does, and a life staff for Rosa. So Rosa will have a white shirt and a life staff available to her. That's going to be real nice. And then Cecil has an Excal, and we do have that pocket Cecil just waiting for us in the watery pass, just like Zilch did.
Zilch finding out that there was a second Palom available.
I'm a little surprised that with the Excalibur that Zoe is deciding to keep Cecil down on the floor for a little bit longer, but could be very comfortable in deciding just to go with this team and not worry about anything else.
Yeah, that makes sense. You can't already have a full Reflect party set up anyway, so...
Yeah, Excal just kind of makes me a little bit tempted to just decide to go for power overwhelming with fists instead of mage casts. But both of them are very good strategies, and maybe end up being about the same amount of time. It just kind of depends on what evil bosses you find.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we do actually have warp available for both our palms now, so maybe that was just one egg just to just to ensure that you get warp. Because the last thing you want to do is to do this and only to find that you were just short of warp.
Yeah, and you don't want to trust that you're going to get full experience out of the Dwarf Castle bosses. We haven't seen all of the ones that cut short, like, say, Golbez, who would cut short some of your XP, so definitely a good idea. Make sure you're getting your full amount. Zilch finding the antlion here, probably pretty happy that he's got levels and doesn't have to worry at all about this. But Zoe did, like we saw earlier, have a really clean fight with this and got through it the first time.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it looks like NPCs being the second hardest boss in the game, blocking Zoe from doing her preferred shopping route.
Oh, and I really like that Drain Spear pickup. Edge, while has good weapons, those Drain Spears are pretty cheap and will do a little bit more than he's doing currently. So I don't think there were too many bought, but it's just a good amount to probably power through the next couple of fights until Edge picks up a few more levels.
Yeah, also makes sense if you don't want to trigger any counters, although we've already come across Antlion and D-Lunas, so not sure who else is left that would counter things.
It would help against the Valvalis too, and that's a blue robe, so all Gauntlet or Water Hag? That is the question in front of us right now.
Who could it be? Who could it be?
It's a Water Hag.
Aww. So that's gonna be free. That's a free fight.
Yeah, Zoe's not worried about this at all. Doesn't even have to take out any of those Drain Spears. But those Drain Spears will absolutely come in handy on the next portion. Now, I know that's Bard because of Zoe's naming convention, but I absolutely read Bird the first time. And I was thinking that Larry Bird was being exhorted on by Anna, so that'd be pretty great to just dunk on the seed.
Well, you know what I say, the bird is a word. I hope people got that reference.
I imagine so. And here we do see Zilch zerking up Cecil, who does have a rune axe, but might not be back row glitch, because that was not very much damage for such a powerful Cecil.
Ooh, that stone misses as well. That's unfortunate.
That's a much better damage swing. 7,000 that time. Ooh, and some yeehaw action. Hi, Golbez. Hey,
ooh.
Third Cecil.
Ooh, this actually is a choice because you have a paladin now, Excal.
Yeah, I think
Goodbye,
I like
Cecil.
that overall. That Cecil's not going to do anything for you in this fight, and you want to keep the one Cecil down because you want to have as few people up as possible. Because like replacing napping Cecil with living Cecil just does nothing for you. It gives the dragon an extra target. So that was a really good choice to say no thanks.
Yeah, Elsa Rishima did point out beforehand that she promised 3 Cecils, 2 Crystal Swords, and an Excal. So we're just missing those 2 Crystal Swords at this point.
And overall, that worked out well. Edge with that crystal ring, able to not knock himself quite out, and stays up and is able to get a Star Veil. This fight is now free.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Zilch is now through the hook route. I actually did get a peek on what was at top of tower, and that it was a Asura. So that is also going to be very free because, again, Asura is a mage type, and we have rune axes and meat knives blowing out all over the place.
Yeah, and that thought doesn't punch too hard, and especially at Zilch's levels, is not a concern at all. Zoe should have plenty of levels too at this point. Ice 3 on Paladin is kind of nice. I wouldn't be worried about going there next, but if I was Zilch, I maybe think about going to do the Fey March after these pan checks, because that would Zilch can probably turn that into a 3-for-1.
Yeah, I agree that it just makes so much sense. You've already grinded all those levels. You make use of that advantage you've got from having these levels to be able to do the harder checks first.
Exactly. You want to leverage that time that you spent demachining up, and is now really only a couple checks behind Zoe, but with a huge level advantage.
Yeah,
But that's
so
real nice for Zoe.
Oh, that is very nice. That is legend. That is required. That is one of our required items. So if we get pink to let's go mode, or even vanilla Luca key, 2 outs.
Ooh, and an Avenger. That was a real nice route for Zoe, who does have that Excalibur just sitting in the inventory too. Very pleasant stuff.
But I think part of the issue here is that Zoe's kept Cecil as an anchor. So
yeah, but again, Zoe still does have that one sitting in Watery Pass to be a replacement anchor, or just to let current floor Cecil stay on the floor and level instead. I'd also be with 2 Excalibur wielding Cecils that Zoe could have. I'd be real tempted to level one up to exactly 45 and let the other one go a little bit past, because that's a lot of power.
that's
speaking
true.
of power,
true.
hello,
that
power
is
shirt. Yeah.
Yep.
And
Goodbye,
also,
Excal.
yeah, that's a sold Excalibur. We might not be seeing any Cecil action at all today, or it could just be knowing that Zoe's going to pick up one again shortly, and we'll just take the free money.
That's also true. That's also an option. I missed what was actually in Feymarch. What was the chest? What was the Feymarch chest check?
I missed it too. It looked like Zilch was slide showing a little bit, so I'm not sure if we caught it entirely.
Oh, crystal ring. Okay.
Okay. I don't hate it, but we've already found one. I don't know if Zilch had found the one yet though. But not a bad ring to find.
All right. So now Zilch is going to have a check of who is down here in Feymarch, and we have. Ooh. So checking the Lunar Sparkle could be Ogo Pogo. Or it's Peldim. So I guess for these levels, Peldim should be relatively free. You can have Cecil just cover everyone and go to be done with it.
Yeah, this is a fight that Zoe actually has a little bit of advantage on with those Artemis arrows and the Artemis bow. Either Cecil or Rosa equipped with them will be able to do a lot of work real fast. Meanwhile, I think I saw Zoe pick up another Charm Rod, so both Paladins are equipped with the second best Black Magic stat stick, plus 10 to the Black Magic stat with those Charm Rods, so they're pretty ready to rock. Just need levels for Nuke.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. It's going to be things are going to be very interesting to see whether how long Zilch will fade that dwarf.
I mean, I imagine that once you're done leveraging your level advantage here, that you go straight to Dwarf just because it's 2 checks. I'll be very curious to see if that Palom gets dropped for 3rd Cecil. Although Zilch does not know that there's an Excalibur possibly waiting for him in the Tower of Babel.
Yeah, honestly, I don't. Given that he's probably seen the signs that are on sale in Feymarch, I don't see him opening that chest anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree with that. But Peldim is down, able to get through the fight, keeps Cecil anchored to the floor, and we find out from Zoe that we've got some leg.
And we did all that fight of that paladin just to get a tiara.
I mean, I know our
Which-
restreamer likes a good tiara, so I'm sure Alicel is very happy to see it, but Zilch probably a little less so.
Oh yeah, so actually, I know I mentioned this before, but Rubicon is also someone you really don't want to. If you don't want to trigger the fight counter, throwing drain spheres is also very good.
Yeah, it's very good. The fight counter here, though, as we see, is not too bad. Leviathan's magic power is pretty bad. So I'm very willing, especially with the level of party that Zilch has, very, very willing to eat the damage here. Zoe selling another Excalibur is definitely going for this party, is keeping that Cecil on the floor for the rest of the turn, or the rest of the seed. Just kind of dashing Alicel's hopes of seeing Cecil go wild.
Well, I don't know. I imagine that Alcel is going to get that on Zilch's side at least.
For sure.
But Zoe making the play to fade Fey March.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable right now. Those aren't super appealing fights at the levels that Zoe's at. And I'm way more interested in fighting the Asura up here, especially with an Edge as decked out as he is. It looks like Palom just cannot stay up in order to cast any of those high tier like Ice 3s when Ruby has his cloak open. So definitely feeling a little bad.
I don't know. I believe he's been targeted a fair bit by the glare, which is still a root spell. Interesting. I wonder why Zoe's choosing to take this fight now.
Yeah, definitely something we'll have to ask her about, because I feel like with her party, I'm 100% done opening any boxes for the rest of the seed.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't know what you're hoping to open here. You definitely didn't want that firebomb.
Yeah, I know it took me a while to figure it out, but there's a certain point where I've just realized that there's nothing I'm interested in anymore, so I shouldn't open any boxes because, well, like, I only possibly want one thing, and it's so rare that I'm going to get it. So, especially since Zoe isn't doing any more stealing, definitely interested to see what she is looking for here. But Palom on Silch's side does connect with an Ice 3. The leg goes down, is cold and alone here. And we find a Bahamut summon. Womp womp, never Fey March.
Never Fey March indeed. So it looks like Zoe's going to gain a whole bunch of time by not checking the spot at all.
Yeah, we'll see if Zoe actually does entirely fade this and maybe goes to the moon, because there's really not much else unless we get something here at the top of the tower that gives us progression.
But no, I think Zoe's making an interesting play for Keyless Tower. So, but to be fair, Asura is going to go down very quickly.
Very quickly, and if you take a save outside before you come up, then you're not at all worried, because if this is nothing, you reset back down and you've only spent a little bit of time. It's if you don't make that save or you have to walk back out with nothing, that feels bad.
Agreed.
Yeah, and if Edge unequips that ninja sword that was purchased and then re-equips that mute knife with the power shirt and the Zeus gauntlets on him, gonna make this real fast.
That did not do as much as I thought that would do.
Yeah, I think with the equipping of that mute knife that we just saw, it's going to be a little bit better.
Yeah, that's good. That's gonna be about 8K or something like that. Okay, still showing off that you can in fact use Rod to do some damage onto anything, onto something. It's very good if you want to trigger, say, Water Hag or for demachining.
Yeah, it's a really nice thing, especially for attacking the Searcher. Really low damage, doesn't take any MP, is totally accurate. So a very nice bit of tech to have picked up at some point for everyone.
Yep, and the sewer's down. Let's see if Keyless Tower was the play.
Well, we get a tower key, so you're gonna walk this out. You're not too displeased with getting another key item. That will put Zoe to 8 of them. So picking up, if we pick up, say, the Luca key or the Pigtail here, that puts us to 10 before a grind. That's really nice.
Yeah, that's true. So meanwhile, look, on Judge's side, looks like there's gonna be a dragon coming to eat his pie soon.
Yeah, but with the relatively low magic power here, this is one of the lowest status spots in the game. The Sinnoh Golbez is not a worry. Just like that Mylon Z is not a worry for Zoe, going down in one swift hit from that edge.
What Mylon Z? I don't see a Mylon Z on the screen.
Did you see a Mylon Z instead?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Oh yeah, you love to see that virus whiff from Golbez. That's real nice.
Oh, yeah, you do. But no, this Quake should be enough to take down Golbez in this spot.
Yeah, that Quake would have done it all on its own. And Zilch will pick up, assuming he remembers that Warp Glitch, will pick up the Legend Sword and be able to complete objective number 1 as well, evening our 200s up on objectives cleared.
Yeah, and now we are just in a hunt for for that either elusive Luca key or that elusive pink tail.
Yeah, that would be real good for Zoe here to pick up either one of those and then be able to fade the Fame Arch entirely. Well, that's a key item.
Ooh.
Overall, a
interesting.
fairly useful trip. Yeah, what do you think is going to come out of this? Do you think, is this going to be worth it and pick up, say, an Earth Crystal or just one of the 2 things we need directly? Or is this going to be a little bit of a bust? Alisol does want a Crystal Sword.
So, no, you can get Crystal Sword by having Rat Tail turn into Pink Tail. That's a way.
You can. I mean, you can get a Crystal Sword straight off this Rat Tail, too. But you are a witch, Infinius, or maybe a warlock, whichever your preference is. Welcome to that Pink Tail. Welcome to more than 10 key items. Welcome to Go Mode, ZoeVermilion. There's your crystal.
Hang on, I'm not quite a full witch yet. Let's see if this actually is a Crystal Sword first before I put myself on the stake here. See? No, I'm saved. Just a Dragon Spear. It's fine.
I think you altered time to make sure that wasn't a Crystal Sword. I'm gonna stand by my statements.
Okay, that's fair.
So Zoe's probably got a lot of adrenaline right now. That's Go Mode. That's a heck of a call to go up Keyless Tower, get a tower key, and then get your Go Mode. My main question is, can Zoe level fast enough to get those Paladins up to nuke? Because that is Zoe's entire goal at this point, having sold those Crystal Sword, having sold those Excaliburs, having kept a floor Cecil for so long.
Yeah,
Doesn't need this Avenger, doesn't need that Dragoon Spear.
doesn't need those Drain Spears either. No, she's just done.
Yeah, only has 7 Sirens, so probably needs to go buy a few more. I don't think
Yep.
7 is enough unless you're planning to go to the moon and do one of those grinds up there. But I don't want to do one of those grinds if I don't have to summon the whale, which Zoe hasn't done yet. I don't
true.
think, does Zoe maybe not remember where the
I think
Sirens were?
that's a problem. Which is the other downside of opening all those trap chests to begin with. Because we know that the sirens are in Feymarch. Alright, so Tim and Chill asked the question: why does everyone have a dead Cecil for the whole game? So one of the things about Final Fantasy IV is that agility is an interesting thing in this concept. The way the ATB system works is that it's based on what we call the anchor position. So normally that in Free Enterprise that's normally the middle spot. However, with this flag set, it's the highest priority Cecil because we have vanilla agility on. So when the higher the agility your anchor is, it determines where everyone else acts at that point. So if your Cecil is a low agility, that means there's only a higher cap of how fast the bosses will go. In the meantime, Zilch is fading Healer's Tower and going to the moon.
For Zilch's sake, I hope that Luki is not behind a gross chain.
Oh, I also hope for his sake as well. But that is a lot of silence that Zoe has just bought.
Yeah, I think Rosa is gonna pew down a whole lot of eggs here. Make brunch, probably like a full Mother's Day brunch at like a hotel kind of amount of eggs. Get those kids up directly to nuke. Don't pass go. Don't use the pass until you get there, and just make this a real clean and easy Zeromus fight.
Yeah, so that's 27 minutes. That should be plenty to be able to get nuke onto our kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And one interesting thing too with Zoe is I think Zoe's picked up a couple of ninja hats, and that Cecil has a 13 agility. Palom takes a little while to get to the point where he would normally get to enough agility to be 2.5 times more than that 13. But with the ninja hats, if those go on Palom and Rosa picks up that Artemis bow to start the fight, that's when all of the agility and how fast people go, how many ticks it takes for them to take a turn, when that all gets set. So you could switch Rosa back over to the life staff very quickly, and get her a very high agility, and keep the ninja hats on the 2 Paloms to keep them at relative agility 1, so that they're acting as fast as they possibly can. And as Rowan Fate points out, we also do have some crystal rings too for even more agility manipulation. So Zoe's got a lot of stuff available to her in order to get her party to where Cecil's as the anchor will always be agility, will always be a speed of 5, and then that was the kind of bounding you were talking about earlier, where the anchor can only be so slow, and then everyone else kind of revolves around that number. And so when everyone else is faster, that's really good for you because you're maximizing your turns against a very, very fast boss, because Zeromus has a whole lot of agility.
Yeah, I think one thing I also like to point out in terms of agility manipulation is if the runners do remember that there's a dwarf axe in Mysidia, that's another good way to manipulate agility, because that's -5 to that agility, and you can give that to a Cecil.
Yeah, although as Zoe, I don't think I want to go walk into Mysidia because I have to take that cutscene, and
that's
if
true.
I'm trying to go as fast as possible, that isn't worth it to me.
That's true. That's fair. We also have a curse ring, so this is all kind of moot anyway. So we can just curse ring our paladin.
For sure, I totally forgot about that. And the level that I assume Zoe's looking for is 52 on Palom. That's when Palom gets nuke. You could theoretically take a little bit longer and go a little bit higher just to get some extra levels and get some extra HP. But if you're going to use Edge as a wall and then bounce 2 nukes and a white off him, you actually don't need to, as long as you probably set your battle speed to 3 and make sure you get a Silk Web out with someone pretty soon. You really don't need to heal. You should be able to get Threemus down without any healing and before a second Big Bang comes out.
Right, zilch6 is going top down on the moon, has just finished Mega Sisters, and gets a Masamune at the Murasame altar.
Yeah, some lightly shuffled ninja swords there. I wouldn't be displeased with that, but I don't think he has an edge anymore. Or did he keep the edge? And
he kept an edge. He kept
Okay.
an edge. I do find it funny that both front runners have a Masamune and go from different spots.
Yeah, the power of T-Wild, or T-Wildish, to where the bosses give better gear. One of the things that we'll see once we move to table flags is you'll see stuff like assassin knives and big bombs popping out from those boss fights. And also just the treasure chests in general are a little bit better, so you get the really good stuff right now, and then we'll have to struggle bus it a little bit harder once we're in the table.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So while zilch is walking down to the bottom of the subterranean and Zoe is continuing grinding, again I would just want to give a shout out to our restream team. We have Dia doing tracking and LSL doing the restreaming duties tonight. So again, thank you again. You've kept us all entertained. The words are hard. You've really helped us, making sure we understand know what we're seeing here.
Absolutely. There's such tasks that you don't get often a lot of direct recognition, so I definitely appreciate you giving them shout outs. Zoe hops into the airship. That must have been level 52 while I was just staring at the almost 6,000 points of damage that was put out by that Rosa in the last shot.
Meanwhile, zilch is in the ribbon room, has found a Bahamut, so that should be a relatively free fight.
Should be, and I'm sure zilch is hoping that their group's namesake comes up big for him. Yeah, there's Zoe moving the battle speed to 3. Yeah, looks like at least one of those Quack kids was at level 53, and I assume the other one was at level 52 or higher. Yeah, 52 exactly. Yeah. That's exactly the good levels for you. I don't think any agility boosting gear was moved on to the kids unless I missed it. I did see Rosa still with the ninja hat and also Edge with the ninja hat.
Does I have the crest ring on?
That's a good question. I did not see that.
Anyway, I see a whole bunch of things where like there's a question mark. There seems to be some sort of flag. Could you please explain that to me?
I think they are rooting for Zambia in the upcoming World Cup. I don't know when the World Cup is going to happen again. Is that true?
No. I don't think so. They could be rooting for Zimbabwe to qualify for the Cricket World Cup, maybe.
Okay, that sounds legit. But hey, we're gonna fight this boss named Zeromus. Maybe that's what it's about. What do we do with Zeromus since we know he's here?
We don't randomize his spot because he's too rude and too hard. I think there's something to do with butts. I think.
That's maybe. It. We're gonna find out whose butt we're gonna kick tonight. The wonderful Scala Kitty in chat has done most of the over 450 sprites that we change Zeromus into. He gets a different face and a different butt every time. So we will see which delightful sprite we get to fight. Meanwhile, zilch has found Demist, which is really exciting that there's a spoon at him.
Yeah. So it looks like that ribbon spot had Baron Key and spoon.
Yeah, so a good bunch of key items there at the ribbon spot, and I think this must be the White Spear altar.
Yeah. So we are fighting Dragonmus. I don't know where this is from.
I don't either. I'm sure Scala will let us know, or chat can say. It's Drago from Crystallis, which I know has a randomizer that some people in the community have played, and I've seen at least one tournament. Zilch picks up a package. So Moon has key items, but none of the ones that Zilch is looking for quite yet. And oof, that Black Mage takes a big nuke directly to the face.
Ooh, that's unfortunate. But it does look like that Cecil does not have a curse ring on, so oh, okay. So Scarclay is saying that this was added when Games Done Quick were doing randomizer week, so neat.
I love getting the deep lore, and Scala always provides the deep lore.
Look, this deep lore is very important here. Meanwhile, we're getting our Hope Stash for Alt Gauntlet at Ogre Pogo with a bargain here, which is still.
But I was gonna say that I think you were also gonna say Bigan's pretty rude here. Is kind of gross. Paladin does survive with just 90 HP. That very nerf Big Bang. He only took about 300 or so from that. So if Zoe just pushes, I think this is home free.
Yeah, I agree. It's but that's right. About 80 more than necessary. Yeah. Old saying, chip in a chair, right?
Exactly. Bigan is armless for the moment, but recovers them right now. But Zilch doing a really good job of using that Palom to use Quake once the arms have come back to knock them back down. Unfortunately, Edge and Cecil didn't get that memo and take them down themselves.
Look, they're really angry, right? I mean, they've gone all the way to the moon just to, and so far they found this spoon, they found the key to a castle of some sort, I would be angry too, honestly.
Meanwhile, Zoe is really enjoying those quad 9s coming out from the Paladins. I wonder if they both bluffed earlier.
I did know that the Paladin went down did bluff. I'm not sure about the other one though.
Zilch finds our third white shirt of the seed. Definitely happy, but that's a crack, a boom, a flash, and that is Zoe into Magma. GG's to ZoeVermilion.
GG's to ZoeVermilion. She makes it to Magma Group, drags Zilch down with her. GG's to Zoe. And we're going to see if we can get an interview.
And we are joined by ZoeVermilion. GG, Zoe. Welcome to the Magma table, or the Magma Group.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That I'm shaking.
I bet. How did you feel when you got go mode?
Like my plan paid off. I woke up earlier, and I super respect Zilch as a runner. And if it came down to an execution battle, I didn't think I was going to win. And so I was like, I've got to figure out some routing decision that if it pays off, I have a chance. And I decided on Keyless Tower. And seeing that chain give me that pink tail, it was very hard to keep my hands on the controller.
I bet. Yeah, go ahead, Infinius.
I was going to say, I imagine. So the big interesting thing is that Zilch did a D machine grind before doing the hook route.
Yeah, that I thought about that, but I also had the edge, and so I figured if I can just set up my team and do like Eblin chess to get Quake, that unless there was like a really nasty evil wall there, I felt pretty confident in getting through it. So yeah, that I definitely passed across my mind, and I'm not surprised that he did that.
Yeah, yeah, go on.
Well, before we ask the very important question that Alice wants us to ask, I did want to compliment you on that really nice antlion fight. That worked out beautifully for you. That's one that can often shove up runners, but that was a good decision to dart a couple of things and get that Quake off. That was excellently done.
Yeah, I saw that antlion come up and went, okay, this is a little spicy, but I've got Quake, and as long as they don't attack him, it should be fine. And I realized I still had a Gungnir Spear. I was saving to sell, and I was like, you know what, fine, this is a better use for it, go.
Yeah. So I'll show Rishima also asks, why do you hate Nice Things for Cecils?
There was no Crystal Swords that I found, Ali. Like, you told me this was Crystal Swords and Cecils. I only found Cecils.
Excals aren't a good enough substitute. You just want the pure ultimate power.
With this party setup, and I was already set up for good reflex strats, a Excal Cecil wasn't going to do much good for me on the Z fight. Had the seed like drawn out a bit more, I might have considered it. Like if I had to do moon fights, I might have considered dropping one of my Palums, but no.
Yeah, and it worked out very, very well for you.
So actually, I do have a question. So after checking Feymarch and choosing to do Tequila's Tower, you listed a whole bunch of all the trap chests. Was there a particular reason to do so?
So Keyless Tower trap chests for me have like always paid off. Like even just the tower chests have always like paid off. I usually pull a Crystal Sword, and I'd be willing to bet that the fourth one that I didn't check was probably the Crystal Sword in this seed. But yeah, it like those trap chests, and then like going down Feymarch, I didn't check anything because my party at that point, I had Charm Rods on my Palums, I had the Masa Ninja, and I had a Life Staff and a White Robe. I didn't need anything, so I was done opening boxes by that point.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Just it just made the search for sirens that bit harder, I guess.
Yeah. At the end, when I realized I needed to grind, I was like, okay, they were underground. This is like the one thing I didn't note on my tracker, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna guess, and I guessed wrong twice.
Look, third time's a charm, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting play that you made to take that edge and immediately go into Babel to get that first trap chest, just to get a couple of sirens, so you could make sure that Pelham got up to Quake. What made you do that rather than go looking for them in shops?
I did that more to get Pelham Warp since I ditched my Tela. I mean,
that was a spell I meant to say.
Yeah. The reason I do that is because, as I mentioned, lower Babel trap chests tend to reward me pretty handsomely. So I was hoping to get something good out of whatever chest I found first. And if I, set that up correctly, then I don't have to worry about finding sirens and then like going up elsewhere. I just like routing that one trap chest in for the possibility of some really good loot for a fairly minimal time loss, especially if sirens hadn't been available. It would have paid off really well.
Yeah, I just thought it was a really interesting play. I don't think I've seen people do with quite that reasoning.
Yeah.
T Wildish makes for some interesting loot decisions.
Yeah, for sure. And I see that you've given us some music, so thank you for that.
Yeah, I also checked the job dwarf before because I didn't, and I wasn't sure if Zilch had, so I wanted to make sure I was giving the people what they need and what they deserve.
Understandable, gotta make sure that the chat is.
Yeah, so thanks everybody. Thanks Ali, Anti, Dia, and Infinius for putting on this restream. Thanks Randomania for having us. And thanks everyone for watching. This was a lot of fun. I'm still shaking. I'm gonna go lay down. And Infinius, I don't want to hear anything more about centaurs, okay?
But oh.
Well, GG again, Zoe. Congratulations on taking this wonderful win. That is an excellent way to play the game. GG's, and hope to see some more great things out of you as you go into the Magma group.
Well, meanwhile, Zilch is gone through liberating Baron Castle and fighting that the Baron was being ruled by a computer all along.
Yeah, and if you had been paying attention to the spoiler log, Zilch is going to be a little bit happy when he gets out of here.
I was trying to look for that when the spoiler log was coming, so so this leads to Luca Key, does it?
This does lead to Luca Key. So Zilch will have a long route to finding the Luca Key, and we'll get to see one of the things we rarely see in this flex, at the boss at Sealed Cave.
Yeah, I also, it's interesting. I do get the feeling that Zilch is going to, when he goes to watch this race back, he's going to probably kick himself for not checking Keyless Tower.
Yeah, but I can definitely understand I have just gone and cleared the Fame March and gotten nothing at all for it. Let's not spend the extra time. There are 2 key items I need. Let's hope one of them is directly on the moon.
Yep. So Zilch finally getting good news that he's now in go mode. Doesn't need to go back up to the moon at all, especially with the pass. Yeah, Zilch just swapping airships because he can't take the whale down underground. So, oh look, we're getting some Falcon love here.
Yeah, that good old red ship doesn't get quite enough usage, so good on Zilch for switching to it very quickly.
I mean, it's multi-purpose. It's got a drill, you know, not like this free enterprise thing.
Yeah, and while Zilch is going to make the climb here, avoid all these trapdoors that you don't have to fight because we've turned encounters off, do you want to talk about some of the races that are coming up tomorrow? At 1 o'clock, we have Starman Random against No Dump Heroes. That will be on the Randomania channel, on one of the Randomania channels. I don't think it's quite determined that we're on which one we're on yet. And then we have Dark Cobalt against the Left-Footed Sultan. It will be on Free Enterprise at 3 o'clock Eastern. And then we'll close the night with Snapey against Forsyth on the Free Enterprise channel. So we have 3 very good races coming up for you tomorrow. And go ahead and join the Discord too if you're interested in learning more about Free Enterprise and if you've been enjoying what you've been seeing.
Too right. I think there's some very important matches amongst that too, off memory. Let me just check the standings.
And while you're doing that, I also want to give a shout out to both Randomania and RPG Limit Break for being such great partners for us throughout this tournament and throughout most of our tournaments. And a special shout out to also for Randomania, who do a little bit of tech heavy lifting, helping while Scala Kitty does the designs for the backgrounds and the overlays that you see here. Captain Who does do a lot of the background work and making them actually work and making the lights light up. So they are wonderful, wonderful partners, and we appreciate them very, very much.
Alright, so for reference, Snape versus Forsyth is a very interesting match. Snape is fighting for Magma, and Forsyth is trying to act as spoiler.
Yeah, so, both of them were in my group, so that should be a really good match. I think they're pretty evenly met. And we did find a very free Yang here. I believe that was just a wait until we get the second kick, or at least cue the second kick, so that Cecil can make him say ouch. And welcome in Free Enterprise. I hope you guys just saw a very exciting race. Here we have already finished one half of this with ZoeVermilion taking a win off of Zilch, and Zilch is finishing up. Here has picked up the Luke key from Baron, which is a route that Zoe did not have to take because she took the Keyless Tower. But we'll get to see Zilch absolutely melt Threemus, and we'll let you all ask the question one more time about whose butt we're going to kick.
Yes, and also like to remind people who just rated, please do not spoil the results of the race you just watched. Some people do like to go rewatch these. Like I know I do. So going into this without any spoilers would be much appreciated.
And Zilch's doing a very good job of using warp to get out of Sealed Cave as fast as possible. Definitely one of the things that you love to have a Black Mage for is getting out of there, because story reasons we can't exit.
I mean, it's almost if the game wants us to fight that evil wall or something.
Well, and also wants to give Kane another chance to betray the party.
Oh yes, that's true. What is up with Kane Betrayal? Like, he didn't even turn up this seat at all.
I know, and we had a Gundir Spear, and we got Zoe at least got a Dragoon Spear. Like, come on, Kane.
Like, we had an Avenger ready, you know, all laid out for him, doesn't turn up.
A couple of roses in the seed. How can you fight for Rose's affections if you don't even show up?
But yeah, I'll leave it up to our Raiders to find out who's but we're kicking tonight. That's true, dear. Kane could be at Zoc because we never did actually check that spot.
Yep, and here we'll see a little bit of a different Threemus fight. Zilch is probably going to do a little bit of a hybrid strat here. Going to use Crystal with Middle Cecil, probably equip the Avenger here to execute that glitch, and then get Edge. I think there's still a Bacchus Wand in the inventory. And then I imagine we probably see a Star Veil from Rosa.
Yeah, that sequence all makes sense. And you can just have Palm start casting nukes.
Yeah, if there's a Silk Web in the inventory, either Pelham does or Middle Cecil gets a second turn to do that.
Oh, it looks like Edge is going to use the Silk Web instead. Oh, no, it's just boxing. Never mind.
Yeah, it looks like Rosa does instead, and then Pelham puts on the Star Veil. So let's hope Pelham does not get a counter nuke in between the time that Star Veil is queued up and the time that he's able to get that Star Veil off. Oh, Edge takes the damage, so not a big deal.
And Cecil's going to act as chemist to cure up the Q3 just to heal up said Edge.
Yep, it'll probably be Middle Cecil's single act of the seed, after which he takes a nap.
No, could have a second action potentially, depending on if the Big Bang low rolls.
I don't think it's going to low roll quite that much, especially if he still has a cloth shirt and a silver staff on.
Yep, no, not even close. Jeez.
Yeah, level 1 Cecil, while it has been proven that you can have 5 level 1 Cecils take out Threemus, level 1 Cecil with no gear is not really going to last too long.
But no, this should not. This fight should not take that much longer. I'd be surprised if we see a second Big Bang.
Yeah, the damage is coming out pretty fast and furious here. Looks like 9,000 from the casters. Although that was a little bit of a misclick. Palom wants out of here. Reflects a warp off of himself, and nothing happens.
Does it mean that Dragon? Surely, if you're able to reflect the warp, that causes the boss to go away, right? Surely.
I mean, it really should. Just it sends him back to it sends you back to the pre-crystal animation phase, and you just have to do it all over again.
Oh, that'd be brutal, actually.
But I know I do that with Sight all the time with a white mage. Just misclick, and then instead of Berserk, cast Sight, and because there's no secondary target confirmation, you're just kind of stuck. It feels real bad.
Yeah, no, I've definitely done that as well. Where there's a lot of words out of my mouth when that happens. Well, no, this is like I said, there's the flash and that Zilch has finally finished the seed with a time of 1:36:17. GG's to him.
Yeah, definitely a good time, especially for the route that he took, doing a lot of the moon that was really not required. Overall, a good time and a well-run seed. Just rando's gonna rando sometimes for you, and Zoe did a wonderful job and made no mistakes throughout that entire seed.
Agreed. Just unfortunate that you make the call to do the D machine, and And you just fade the one thing that will sit you on the right path. Like I said, randos go rando.
Yeah, it looks like we should be joined shortly by Zilch. Alcel has done the hard work of tracking him down and asking for an interview, and we'll see if we can get him in. And we are joined by Zilch. GG, Zilch.
Thanks. Hope you enjoyed seeing the other half of the seed.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see you two take totally divergent paths through a lot of the seed, actually, and with very different parties, too.
Yeah, when I finished, I looked at the tracker and I'm like, oh, Zoe has all different items than I do.
So tell me your thoughts about the seed, especially as you went up to do that D machine early.
I like doing it when you get an early darkness and Tella. I usually just go full clear the moon at that point, which probably would have been the better idea, but most of the time that doesn't pay out. And I also had the pan, so I figured, we'll just go underground. And then I see the free boss and instantly regret that decision. But I figured, just do the D machine early and then just blaze through the rest of the seed. But I did get to go through a good portion of the seed in the process, so that was fun. But yeah, that was generally the idea.
Yeah, I noticed the D machine grind. You're a bit short on white and nuke on your casters. Was that intentional?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna do enough to get it for them. I figured I'd just get a super Cecil. Allie had promised me Crystal Sword Cecils galore in her seeds, so I believed her, and well, we had a Rune Axe for a bit, but we did get an Excal.
Yeah, and so we did do a couple of trap chests in Lower Babel and did pull out another Excalibur. So maybe just do a couple more trap chests and you'll get those promised Crystal Swords.
Yeah, I figured doing the Fey merch bosses and all the moon should get me a Crystal Sword, but maybe it was at Cave Bahamut.
Yeah, or could have been in the treasury that you didn't open.
Or it could have been on in the ever delightful double red dragon trap chest.
I mean, yeah, possible. I was just expected to be handed a starting Crystal Sword, but did not deliver.
I mean, you do have to know that Alcel does play Beyond Chaos and enjoys it, so expect some rudeness, even if you do get some delightful things also.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, even if you went moon first, all the actual required stuff on the path to completing the seed was pretty much free. You had the required Bahamut. Well, I guess it wouldn't be required if you went the other path, but the Bahamut was free, and that gave you the Baron Key. And I don't know, it was the dolls, wasn't too bad, and I forget what was on the throne. But that gave you the Luca,
CPU.
which led to... Right, and then that Luca key led to the free Yang. So...
Yeah, that entire route.
A lot of free.
If you go there immediately, is pretty wide open.
But, oh well. I'll enjoy the magma bloodbath.
Yeah, how do you
I'm not
feel
going to
about-
enjoy the magma bloodbath. I'm there too.
Is there anyone you're
Oh,
particularly scared of facing there? Or anyone you're particularly looking forward to? Maybe any rematches or grunt matches you have with anyone?
Not really. I feel like I should be able to beat anyone, and at the same time, anyone can beat me, so... Especially on the group flag set, where there's a lot of easy options sometimes, and, makes it a little more of a coin flip sometimes, but, more free enterprise, I guess, so that's good. I'll keep postponing my, playing my first table seed.
Yeah, I think I had played one sometime before the tournament started and I thought it was really interesting. And then said, well, time to focus on group flags for a while.
Yeah, I think I'll do a lot better in those, because then I can actually use my low-level strats, but in these, grinding is usually the right play. So, one day.
Do you have any other thoughts on the seed or the tournament so far?
I'm enjoying the tournament. I'm going to enjoy a little more of it than I would have liked in the Magma group, but, that happens. GG's to Zoe. She kept saying before the race I was going to crush her, and I lost by like 20 minutes, so there you go. Anyone can win, and everyone is really good in this tournament. even if they say they're not, they're lying to you.
But I'm not lying.
Nope, you're lying. You're really good too.
Lies.
But no, enjoying it so far. Thanks to Ali for rolling the No Crystal Sword Cecil Seed, Dia for tracking, and Infinius and Antidale. Thanks a lot for the commentary.
It's always a pleasure to race against you and to watch you race, Zilch. Thanks so much. And Infinius, do you have any other questions for Zilch tonight?
No, I have no other questions. Thank you for giving us a good race to watch.
All right, appreciate it.
GG, and we'll see more of you from the Magma Group.
Can't wait. All right, see you guys.
Well, Infinius, that was a delightful scene to commentate with you. That was a whole lot of fun and a very, very great race between Zoe and Zilch. Definitely a great way to close this Friday evening here on Randomania with Free Enterprise. Do you have any other things you'd like to say or final closing words for everyone tonight?
I'm telling people I'm not that good at Free Enterprise. Why do people think I'm good? I don't understand.
I mean,
That's all I've got.
You're in the Magma Group. That's plenty good enough. No slouches are in there at all.
Except me. Anyway, we looks like we're going to be rating Slippery42, who's doing the Seed of the Week. So if you have not done the Seed of the Week, this is your warning. You may want to. It's okay to bail out of this raid. I haven't done the Seed of the Week yet, so I probably will also bail this raid. But again, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to Alicel and Dia for doing the restreaming and tracking respectively, because without them, we will be quite lost not knowing what our runners have gotten.
Yep, and you can follow some links there provided by Skull Kitty from the Randroid bot to click on them and follow any of these wonderful people. I'm sure they would all appreciate some extra follows on Twitch if you've enjoyed what you've been seeing so far tonight.
Indeed. And again, thank you, Antidale, for doing this commentary with me. It was lots of fun.
Yeah, it's always a blast. Hope everyone has a great day and enjoy the Seed of the Week that we'll see on Slippery42's channel.